Okay, so let's start with the third part of Python. Now, here we are going to discuss basic syntax. Python has to follow a certain syntax. So, basic syntax represents the fundamental rules of programming language. Without these rules, it is impossible to write functioning code. So, you must understand that for writing any language, it has its own rules which needs to be followed. So, every language has its own set of rules that makes up its basic syntax, and naming conventions are parameter components of basic syntax conventions, or whatever rules are there. You have to follow that so that your program becomes efficient and it performs as the way you want it to perform. Now, the Python language has many similarities to Perl, C and Java. However, there are some definite differences between these languages. Now, when you want to write your first program, let's see how to go about it. Let's execute programs in different modes of programming. Now, this being an interactive mode of programming, so you can invoke the interpreter. That Python is an interpreter that we have already understood. So you may write some script and then execute it. Now, before that, you must see that your Python is properly installed, and that can be checked with the Python command itself. You may go to command prompt, or maybe if you have some IDE, you can install that also, check in that. But since we have not discussed about IDE, let's first discuss and check it in the command prompt. So when you write Python, you will see that this kind of a response will come from the system. Now type the following text, like print hello Python, and you will see the response will come like as it is shown here, hello Python. So when you run it, whatever version you are using, you will see that this kind of a response will come. Then script mode programming, invoking the interpreter with a script parameter begins execution of the script and continue until the script is finished. So it will start from the beginning of the script and then continues to execute it till it is completed. Now let's write a small program in Python using a script. So Python files have extension .py. Now that you must be clear about, that the secondary name of the Python program is always .py. That indicates that it is a Python program. So you can type the following source code like print hello Python, and you can save it as test.py or whatever name you want to give it. This shows that it is a Python program. We assume that you have a Python interpreter which is already there installed in your system, and your path has also been set, so there is no problem when you are going to execute it. Now to run this Python program, you can just simply go there in the command prompt, write Python, then test.py, because that is the name of your program. Now this produces this result called, and as you are seeing on your screen, that is hello Python. Now let's try another way to execute a Python script, and here the modified test.py is there. Like it may be in Unix or whatever. So you can write the same command and then you will see the similar result. Now let's try and understand the class. Class is a very basic concept of object-oriented programming, and the same concept is used in Python also. So class is nothing but a category of various objects. In Python also, a class is created by the keyword class itself. So when you write a class, that means you are going to write some class or creating some class. An object is created using the constructor of the class, and this object will then be called the instance of that class. Now Python is an object-oriented programming language, as we have already discussed. Unlike procedure-oriented programming, where the main emphasis is a function, object-oriented programming stress on objects. That is the basic building block of the object-oriented programming, and the same concept has been used in the Python also. So object is simply a collection of data, and it may be variables or it may be methods or whatever it is. So that act on those data, and class is a blueprint of the object. Now as you are seeing on your screen, that car class. Now you can create a class or category of cars, let's say. Now cars may have different models, but the category or the class is car. So that means all types of all the models which are there of the various cars, they are in one class, and that is cars. Now for easy understanding, we can think of class as a sketch. Let's talk about another example called house, and it contains all the details about the floors, doors, windows, etc. whatever is there in the house. And based on those descriptions, we build the house. So house becomes an object. So likewise, you can have various objects which we are going to use in different situations. So therefore, the class plays a very vital role in the Python programming also. As many houses can be made from a description, we can create many objects from a class. An object is also called an instance of a class, and process of creating the object is called instantiation. So when you create a class, that means you are initiating a object known as class. Now, defining a class in Python, like function definitions begin with the keyword def in Python. We define a class using the keyword class. The first string is called the docstring and has a brief description about the class itself. Although not mandatory, it is not mandatory that you must describe it in that way, but it is always recommended. So that is why it is better to define the class in Python. Now here is a simple definition: class, my new class, then there is a docstring, we have created a new class, and then you can pass it. Then a class creates a new local namespace where all its attributes are defined. So you can define all the attributes which you think are required, and attributes may be data or function. There are also special attributes in it that begins with the double underscores. So we have discussed in the beginning that the double underscores are also used and for the describing your docstrings. So this is the way you can describe that. Now as soon as we define a class, a new class object is created with the same name. The class object allows us to access the different attributes as well as the instantiate the new object of that class. So my class, my class, etc. like this you can define it. This is my second class, a is equal to 10, def class, and then of course all these scripts that you are seeing here, it can be written like this. You may try it if you want, but let's try and see that what kind of output you are going to get. So if you go back and see that this is this contents or other scripts that we have written, with this you can get this kind of a output. So this is my second class, which is mentioned in the previous slide, that this is my second class, and when you print it you will get this kind of a output. Now creating an object in Python, we saw that the class object could be used to access different attributes. It can also be used to create new object, instances, or instantiation of that class, and the procedure is created on a similar basis as to the function call. So this is the way you can write your object also. Then this will create a new instance object named OB. OB is the indication that you are writing a object. So we can access attributes of object using the object name prefix. Attributes may be data or methods, as we have seen earlier, method of an object or corresponding functions of that class, and any function object that is a class attribute defines a method or objects of that particular class. Now let's talk about the strings. Now strings are very important and we need it. In fact, when you write your program in Python, you will see that strings play a very important role. So a string in Python is a sequence of characters. Whenever you are writing a program, and if it is a text or a combination of text and number or some special character, that is always used as a string. So it is a sequence of characters. It is a derived data type, and strings are immutable. You can't change it. This means that once defined, they cannot be changed or modified. Strings are amongst the most popular types in Python. We can create them simply by enclosing characters in quotes. Python treats single quote the same as double quotes. So whether you can use the single quote or a double quote, it means the same. Creating a string is as simple as assigning a value to a variable. So you can very easily, wherever you feel like that you need a variable, you can simply, it may be a number or a string, whatever you want to create, you can simply create at that point itself. Like here you can see that the var1 is equal to hello world. So this is a string which is put into a variable called var1. var2 is a Python programming. Accessing values in strings is again very simple. Python does not support a character type. These are treated as strings of length 1. The 2 strings is a substring. So to access substrings, use the square brackets for slicing along with the index or indices to obtain your substring. So you can, from a complete string, you can create a substring, maybe a particular character or maybe 2 characters or whatever you want to extract. For example, now you can see here var1 is equal to hello world, then var2 is Python programming, and suppose you want to extract just h. So you can write as print var1 within square brackets 0, which means that only you want first character of this string, and that is var1 0. And similarly, you can write var2 1 to 5 and var2 1 to 5 again you have written, because that is something in the course which becomes a string. And when you see the output, when you execute it, you will see that this kind of output will be appearing on your screen. So this indicates that how you can write your scripts or strings. Updating strings, you can update an string in existing string by assigning a variable to another string. So it's very simple. You can simply assign it and it will be stored there. The new value can be related to its previous value or to a completely different string altogether. So whatever you want to write, you can simply write it whatever way you want, like you can see on the screen itself. Now when the above code is executed, it produces the following result. As you can see, updated string is equal to hello Python. So the language understanding is not at all difficult, and one must try, and the more you practice, you will become more and more proficient in that. And that is what the third part of the Python is completed. Now we are going to go for the next part. Thank you.